podcast live from Congress 2025. I'm your host, Lisa Weisenberger, AARC Director of Engagement at Media, and I'm here with Luke Crandall and Crystal Fishman from Pima Medical Institute, right here in Phoenix. Thanks, Luke and Crystal, for joining me today. So let's get started. Can you each tell me a little bit about yourselves and your journeys into respiratory therapy? What made you get into this profession, or start to get into the profession for Luke?
Absolutely. My name is Luke Crandall. Um, how I got into respiratory was a little bit of a different path than most students do. I was a military veteran. I spent 6 years as a United States Navy corpsman, doing mostly pre-hospital care type medicine. And in that, I definitely learned kind of what I liked and what I didn't like as far as my medical care. And I decided respiratory therapy was going to be my furthering path for my education, and I chose Pima Medical Institute in Mesa.
Awesome. Do you want to share a little bit about your journey, Crystal?
Absolutely. So I've been a respiratory therapist since 1999, and it seems like a long time. And I started out on the East Coast, where I worked trauma and I worked NICU, as well as PICU for many years. And then I transitioned to teaching. And about 9 years ago, I came out to Arizona, and so happy to be here. This is my fourth Congress that I've had a chance to attend, and just wonderful.
Well, we're glad to have you. Look, what has your experience been like as a student at Pima, and how has Crystal helped you get kind of on your path to becoming a respiratory therapist?
I would say I've had a fantastic experience at Pima. It is top-notch educational institute. We have amazing experienced instructors, from NICU to adult trauma to pediatric trauma to PFTs to every aspect of respiratory therapy. And I think that's what really sets PMI Mesa specifically apart, is the diverse educational experiences that everybody has and diverse experiences in actually working in the field. Really, the main thing Crystal has helped me with is, you know, really mentoring me and being able to help me grow as not only a student, but now as a new grad RT. I just graduated in July.
Congratulations.
Thank you so much. And that support, not only during my program, but after my program as a new grad. Just because I've graduated doesn't mean that support goes away. And I think that just speaks volumes of our program.
That's great. What would you tell other students in the programs about the importance of getting to know your instructors and finding a mentor like Crystal?
I say getting to know your instructors and finding a mentor is huge. There's so many different intangible pieces of advice and different things that an instructor can give you as far as how they practice and everything that's not a part of a standard academic curriculum. It's something that is knowledge that they can impart, and it's kind of one of those things where it's not in a syllabus. It's one of those things that just helps you become a better practitioner. That's not, something you would learn off of Egan's or another textbook.
That's great. How do you both stay motivated to keep moving forward in the profession? You as a recent grad and you as an experienced RT.
So when it comes to being motivated, I view every day I go to work like it's not a job. It isn't. I haven't worked a single day, and I'm very blessed to be in this field. I love the field of respiratory care. I love my students. There's a great sense of pride being able to elevate them and become their wind to get them up and moving forward. And so we have an open door policy with regards to tutoring. We have great staff, and we really try to bring the students in and really try to elevate them. And if they are having some issues, we try to lend a hand to get them to achieve their goals.
That's great. What keeps you motivated?
Oh, for me, it is really easy as a new grad. I am super excited every day going into work, seeing everything. I feel like I see something new every day. So learning, seeing new experiences, doing new things I'm always motivated to kind of take that next step and become a better practitioner day by day by day. And just being there, I'm excited every day. I love seeing all the new things, the new patients, the new modalities of treatment I may have not been exposed to, just everything. So for as a new grad, for me at least, I'm super passionate about respiratory. It's super easy to stay motivated and passionate because I see new things every day and I'm like, oh, this is super cool. I want to keep learning about this, or I want to know more about this.
That's great. That's so we need to continue to have students like to have that passion and to keep going forward. So, Crystal, what do you think students are most looking for in their educational journeys? And you mentioned a little bit about how you kind of keep them with the wind in their sails, so to speak, and help them work through problems and issues that they might arise. But what do you think that they are looking for?
So I think they're looking for credibility and a school that will be able to not only educate them and get them the knowledge base that they need, but also to be able to help them actually move on to the community. And as Luke said, and as you know, our students will say, that's a vital part, because once you graduate, we want to give you the tools so you can go out there and get a job. And coming to the ARC Congress, I mean, you know, there's so many networking opportunities, so many job opportunities for new grads, that, you know, it's a great networking tool. And I encourage many of the students to come and attend this last, you know, this particular Congress. And I think it's a central part. So I guess that's pretty much it. What do you think?
Yeah, what do you think, Luke? Like, when you started to be thinking about being a respiratory therapist, what were you looking for in an educational journey or place to go to?
Yeah, absolutely. I think what I was looking for, and one thing that PMI Mesa definitely provides, is that gap between academic theory and actual application of respiratory therapy. There are many times where, yes, we have to know that academic theory to be able to apply it to our actual practice, but there are many times where instructors will come in and be like, hey, this is the application of this actual practice, and kind of takes it from an academic theoretical standpoint and brings it into the real world. And that's one thing that I think our program definitely strives with, is being able to not only give us the academic tools needed to pass like the TMC and the CSE, but to let us hit the ground running and be practitioners right off the bat. It's very important as a new grad to be able to, you're not going to know everything off the bat. You're not going to know how your practice is completely, especially as a new grad, but you should have a level of confidence and a level of, you know, standard of care that you can provide to patients. And I think PMI Mesa does a great job at doing that and getting us prepared to actually be practitioners.
That's great. Super important to be able to just go in and start your job. That doesn't always happen when you graduate from a program
Absolutely.
or college. I guess for each of you, what has been your favorite experience as an RT student and as an educator, or maybe as a recent grad for you, Luke, since you're not really a student anymore?
Of course.
Well, for me, it's watching the student actually evolve and turn into that practitioner. Luke is already in the ED. He has a job already. He's got his license. He is actively working. He's moving forward toward going into an ICU. That, you know, and he comes back and he shares what he's doing, and he shares it with our other students, so they actually feel empowered too, and that's so vital. But he's only one. We have many students that are out there and they're actively working, and they're growing very quickly, and they're rising in the rank as far as going into the ICU early, working into PIC rooms as well as NICUs. So that's huge.
That's great. What about you?
For me, kind of going to the student perspective, I would say the biggest thing that kind of brought me into being an actual respiratory therapist was the clinical practice side of it, going into clinicals. Our instructors are not super hands-off when it comes to clinicals. They come into our actual clinical sites and help us with real patients, along with the facility preceptor, of course. But they come into the clinical site and show us on actual patients and show us, hey, from the academic text point, like this happens. This is how it's actually presenting with the patient. So I think that was super important as a student, at least for me, to be able to see real world application. And as a new grad, kind of building upon that, I'm just keep building with those different skills that I learned in school and those different academic concepts. I see things every day and I'm like, oh, Crystal told me about this in hemodynamics and I can see this, or one of my other instructors told me in this different class and I can see this now in a real world application. And it's just one of those things that sticks with you and kind of brings you along in your practice, especially as a new grad.
That's wonderful. So I guess maybe on the opposite end of that, what is one misconception about the field of respiratory care that you think people should maybe know about if they aren't in the profession? Like, what would you want people to know about respiratory therapists that maybe they don't know?
I think respiratory therapy, I'm sorry that COVID happened, but I think respiratory therapy really came into our own during that time because we were utilized so much when COVID hit. But I think sometimes we are kind of the unsung heroes. We are in the background. No one really knows what we are until there's a problem with their patient. There's a problem where the patient is struggling. They're not able to breathe, and so that's something that I think I want people to know. This is a growing industry.
100%.
And that's huge. The fact that it is still growing and still evolving, and I think that when it comes to educators and when it comes to students coming into the field, we have to remember this field is growing, and that means we need to be cutting edge. We need to constantly not only meet the bar, but we want to start setting the bar.
Yeah, that's 100% would agree. How about you, Lucas? What would you think?
I would say the big thing that there's a misconception, especially with sometimes I would say, with our partners we work with in allied health, whether it be nurses, even physicians and other specialties in the field, is they think of us just as button pushers sometimes, or we just give the nebulizers. That could be furthest from the truth. A lot of the times we are there kind of helping the physician decide certain therapies. Obviously, it's ultimately on the physician to diagnose and order those different therapies, but we are there bedside kind of suggesting different therapies. We're there suggesting different settings for, let's say, non-invasive ventilation or even invasive ventilation. We have a lot more knowledge base than what I think we're given credit for sometimes. And I think a lot of people have that misconception of, oh, that's just the nebulizer guy, or that's just the guy that needs to bring the oxygen tanks or the BiPAP. It's like, no, I'm here like actually, kind of dictating that therapy to the best of my ability to get the best patient outcomes, and kind of telling that physician, hey, this is maybe what we should do, or using therapist-driven protocols to actually make that own decision for myself to try to make the best thing for the patients. And I think some people just are like, oh, they're the neb jockeys, they're the button pushers. It's like, no, there's a lot more critical thinking that goes into it than that.
It's a super important piece of the whole healthcare team. Like,
absolutely,
you want somebody who has the special skills when you're not able to breathe. Like,
of course.
Do you have one piece of advice you wish you would have known as a student that you would share with others now?
One piece of advice I think I would give to students is don't beat yourself up too much if you have a bad showing in either a specific class or a specific area. Respiratory therapy in general is a very hard program, no matter what school you're going through. And as far as allied health goes, we have one of the hardest examinations to actually get our licenses. And having that hard tests, I should say, to have our license, our programs are going to match that. They're going to be very, rigorous and everything. So I would say if you have some sort of time where you're having a difficulty in a class, a difficulty in a single test, whatever the case may be, don't give up. Don't beat yourself up. Don't get down. Reset, keep studying, move forward, because I know plenty of people that have had setbacks in their academic careers and have made and become great therapists. So just keep moving forward. It's not an easy journey, but just keep moving forward.
I think that's great advice. That's a great advice for all of us. Like everybody runs into roadblocks in their career and their life, and you just kind of have to remember to take a deep breath and keep on trucking. How has your AARC membership helped with your RT career growth? Crystal?
So when it comes to the ARC, they are paramount, and I believe that there are such advocates for this field. When we have a new cohort in the first and second semester, I start promoting the ARC and student membership because I think it's vital, and ARC brings a lot to the table, helping with delegates, looking at the community and the stakeholders. I think that is huge. There's job working, there's job networking, career opportunities, as well as housing all of our CEUs for our licensure. This compounded with the ARC University, where you can actually get your CEUs, and it's cutting edge CEUs, and they set the bar. And so I start that right out of the gate with my students, and then we usually have a very good showing right before they graduate, where people start becoming members. So I think it's extremely important and a blessing.
Good to hear. Providing all of those resources, of course. Luke, what have you been able to utilize as a student with AARC?
Absolutely. So the big things I was able to utilize as a student is a lot of things that Crystal was able to kind of verbalize and say that we can utilize as students. In 2024, I was actually a student delegate for Arizona in the House of Delegates. So during that, I was able to just be exposed to respiratory in a national field. There's a lot of things that differ from state to state, a lot of things that are different throughout the entire country, and it was really great exposure being able to see that. Not only the differences, but actually the similarities too, because there's a lot of things that bring us together as respiratory therapists, that experiences that are mutual and shared, that we can all come together and be like, oh yeah, I've experienced that too. So I think the big thing that the AARC provides is, of course, they provide the CEUs and the education, everything like that. But the big thing that I take away from it as a student and a new grad is that community, that national community that's more than just your hospital, your state, but it's a national community, and even sometimes international with some of our international members that kind of provide a sense of camaraderie and kinship in the respiratory therapy field. I think it's super important as we grow as a field that we all stick together as respiratory therapists and help grow that field and really become our own, shining star, if you will, in the allied healthcare field. I think that a lot of misconceptions are, taken about us, and I think the ARC and our members are the ones that are going to make that change and kind of show not only the general public, but allied healthcare professionals other than us, like, hey, we're a vital piece to this healthcare community.
Oh, that was a great answer. It's so important, all the things you said. Are there any other thoughts you'd like to share before we sign off for the day? This has been such a great conversation. Actually, Luke is in the Sputum Bowl today, so we're excited. Can you tell us, maybe that's a good thing, maybe if people don't know what the Sputum Bowl is about, could you give us like a 20-second lowdown on what the Sputum Bowl is about? Because this is a super exciting thing that happens here at Congress, and he's on one of the teams that's competing for the next 2 days, right?
Yes,
So,
absolutely. So for those who don't know, Sputum Bowl is a academic quiz bowl style competition where teams of 3 with 1 alternate, so they're teams of 4, but 3 are on stage, compete with general and advanced respiratory knowledge and kind of figure out who of these 2 teams are, in, for lack of better words, the more knowledgeable as when it comes to respiratory. It is a large competition throughout the entire AARC. This is the national competition. States have their own state competitions inside of their state respiratory societies, and now we're competing on the national level. So it's a really fun and exciting kind of way to kind of test your skills, test your might, and really figure out how much you really know about respiratory.
That's super exciting. Well, congratulations on making it to the national.
Thank you.
The national tournament. It's not really. I guess it's a tournament, but the national stage for Sputum Bowl.
Thank you.
And good luck this afternoon and the rest of the few days. So, I guess on that note, Crystal and Luke, thank you for sharing your insights and inspirations with us about your RT journeys and future impact on the profession. And again, Luke, good luck. We hope your team does well.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the AARC Perspectives Podcast, live from Congress 2025. We hope you enjoyed today's episode. And don't forget to subscribe, share with your colleagues, and check out more resources and conversations at aarc.org. Thanks, guys.